Welcome. This is part of the system where we talk to people and organizations from across the sector of recreation, leisure, wellness, to just talk about the whole system. So today, I'm really pleased to welcome Lori Modde, CEO of Outdoor New South Wales. Now, Lori started in the role about 6 months ago, and I've just been chatting to her offline, and she said it was the actual day of the lockdown with COVID. So great timing there, Lori. But Lori had also worked for Tourism New South Wales, local government, the Sydney Olympic Park Authority, and has also had a spell in the non-for-profit sector. Lori is still the managing director of a company she founded called Loric Management Company, which provides management and leadership expertise to the sector. Lori's also a member of the Outdoor Council of Australia, and just because she's got a little bit more time left, she's got several volunteering positions. Now, I've known Lori for a little while, but what I do know is that she's a huge advocate for healthy and sustainable communities through outdoor education, adventure activities, and regional tourism. So I'm really pleased to welcome Lori. How are you going, Lori?
Really well, David. Thank you so much for having me. This is really exciting.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for jumping on. Before I start, that's a really nice background you've got there. Where's that?
Oh, this is Mundy Lookout. So if anyone's been to far west New South Wales, where it's just beautiful landscapes everywhere you turn, this is a lookout just past Silverton, and I managed to catch it. You can see a storm in the background there at sunset, and it was just a perfect time with the reflection off the road. That's where Mad Max was filmed, if you've seen Mad Max.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, fantastic. That's a proper Aussie film, isn't it?
Absolutely. And what is it, 25 years next year? It was it was filmed for 2021 was the year,
right,
which is next year.
Wow.
So there you go.
Is there any parallels with COVID? Yeah, it's a bit crazy.
Yeah, well, people could deduce that themselves.
That's it. So, all right, well, we'll jump straight in. So I've just got a bunch of questions, and we'll have a chat about yourself and where you're at in the system. So, well, first of all, what does well-being mean to you, Lori?
Oh, good question. I suppose well-being in everything that I've done, it's not just about physical health. It's about mental health. It's about being comfortable in yourself and achieving the things that you want to achieve. And that can go everything from personal pursuits to professional pursuits, and having the system, to use the expression, to have the system available for it. And that to me is well-being, personal well-being, to be able to have the tools and resources to do what you want to do.
Yeah. And how, in terms of the tools then, what is it, you can give us some examples of what you do to look after your well-being? And it sounds like, you've had a really busy period since you started in the role. So have you been taking care of your well-being as well?
Yeah, well, yes, I think we all have to. And I think if we've gone through journeys that have been somewhat challenging, we tend to build up resilience through them. And I've been lucky or unlucky, not too sure which, to undergo some challenges throughout my life that set me up for things like this. And one in particular, which not many people know from this side of my career, but certainly people that have known me for quite a few years know that I have lost an incredible amount of weight over a period of time. So I lost 22 kilo from what I used to be, which was in my days of local government. Don't go to local government, it puts weight on. So I think coming out of that and going, right, I feel terrible, I'm not well, I didn't have the well-being to do what I wanted to do. So I just finished my MBA at the time, which probably didn't help, and it contributed to my health. But I finished that and went, yep, that's it for me. I need to get well again, and really set about looking after me, which was about nutrition, it was about exercise, it was about nature, being outside, and still today I'm still committed to my outdoor runs and outdoor walks, and trying to maintain the lifestyle that I built at that time. and I feel well.
Well, that's really inspiring, and you're a fantastic example of what can be achieved if you put some good habits in there. And I suppose your why, you wanted, what was the thing that made you change? Because that is a big change for someone to do. Was it 22?
22 kilo
Yeah,
I lost,
22.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I think the biggest thing for me was mental health. I just didn't feel energetic. I wasn't motivated, and it wasn't me. I'm normally quite a motivated person. If I'm committed to a cause, I commit 200%. And I was getting to the stage where everything was just too hard, and I was waking up and I was always tired, and I just had a lack of motivation. And it was my husband that just said, what's going on? And politely, he didn't actually say you need to lose weight, thank goodness, because he might be divorced now. But he literally said, you're not yourself, and you need to work out what's going on, and I'm here to support you. So yeah, I thought, right, I'm going to do this right. And yeah, they, as people tell you, it's about balance. It's about juggling nutrition with exercise. It's not one or the other. And that's exactly right. And it's amazing the energy that I've got back, and the mental frame for me was just so different. And I felt like I could tackle the world, and that I did, because I left a job that I was quite unhappy in at the end, and went to a brand new job, and really got into that, and then saw other things that were able to be achieved, and I've gone and done them. So yeah, that for me. And now I'm so privileged to be able to volunteer in mentoring capacities. I've got 3 mentorees at the moment, which I'm mentoring, and I feel like I'm giving back to them what I've learned through this journey, professionally and personally.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that, and that's really great to hear. So well done. We'll move on to Outdoor New South Wales now, and your current role. So can you tell me a little bit about the role of Outdoor New South Wales in the system? So if we think about the system as recreation, leisure, wellness, what role does Outdoor New South Wales play?
It's a really important question, because this is something that I was really keen to get our governance, our board, on the same page when I first started, because that, what you've just described, is the power behind any organisation, whichever system they fall into. So we set about having the discussion as a board, and I can't release it to you yet, because it's not being released until the 18th of August, but I do have it here, and you can't say it yet.
It's just between me and you, Lori. Just tell me.
Just between us, and how many people are listening. So it is our strategic intention document, and what it does is outline exactly where our organisation is positioned currently and where it needs to go. But I will give you one sentence from it, and this will sum up exactly what you've asked me. And this is our why. So this is the organisation, Outdoors New South Wales and ACT, what we stand for and why we exist today. That sentence is basically to enrich communities by connecting them with nature, to lead them to healthier and more fulfilled lives. So at the end of the day, that's why we exist. And what we do is we connect with a sector that empowers that and makes that happen on a day-to-day basis. So we're supplying resources and energy and tools and information and capacity to that sector to do their job the best, to connect them to nature, providing health and enriched lives.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It's so powerful when you kind of just dumb it down to transforming people's lives. But there's a lot that goes into that, and from sitting on some of the Connect and Share weekly webinars that I've been involved in, and love you to touch on those and the intent there. But really, what I'm saying is you're galvanizing the sector and sharing a lot of knowledge, and bringing different groups together. And it was that part of the weekly webinars. What was the intent there?
So we actually started those primarily because of COVID.
Yeah.
And as you said, I came into the sector on a really great day where literally everyone was told their business is gone. You know,
Yeah.
their activity's gone. They must shut. They can't allow anyone into their facilities. So um, it's actually a perfect way to start, which I'd hate to say that as a positive, but it was for me because I was able to really be a ear for many people that really had nowhere to turn or go. And so I was able to connect with my members on the phone and just sort of say, look, I'm here.
Mm.
Tell me what's going on. Tell me, you know, where are you affected? What's happening? What are you normally? What are you now? You know, and that in itself was great conversations, but I couldn't get to everyone. And I was like, right, how do I hear this on a broader scale? So that's when I started the Connect and Shares, and it was primarily brought about because I wanted to hear what
Mm.
was going on. And what was created was just magic. It was the sector hearing each other, and it was connecting them in a way where it's like, well, have you tried this? So have you looked at this? So we should look at our operations manuals now because we're not doing anything. We should look at our risk management plans. Right, let's have a look at some COVID planning now. And all of a sudden that bred so much content within the sector that was able to be shared and information to each other. So it grew from there. And then it sort of evolved into this, right, we need to understand this part of the sector more, or we
Mm.
need to understand that opportunity, or we need to hear from the people making these decisions. So then I just became facilitator.
Mm.
And so I've been able to grab people to provide that content because they know that content best, or you know, they've got access to content,
Mm.
and bring it to our sector, which would not only be able to be done. Everyone's so familiar with Zoom now. It's been great. We've been
Yeah.
able to provide a platform that hopefully now will continue.
And if you think about systems thinking, like exactly what you've been doing there on a Friday, and I want to acknowledge you for that, for what, you know, because I think bringing people together from different perspectives and listening to people's challenges, and being that conduit of creating that kind of environment is beautiful, and I think very impactful. And from my experiences on there, you've been talking about inclusion or governance, or it's like, you know, this have the sector having a voice, and particularly in these times. So I'd encourage anybody to jump on the Friday sessions. Is it do you want to just give a little bit of information
Yeah.
about them? How to
Yeah, absolutely. Well, firstly, they're free.
Yeah.
Secondly, they're open to everyone. It doesn't matter which state you're from, and it's so good to see some people coming from other states, because even though other states have different systems,
Mm.
obviously they're finding the opportunity to connect what we're doing with their operations, and we invite everyone. They are every Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. It's an hour out of your time, and we say bring your coffee. It's coffee break time. Queensland try that too. They were at 11. I think that's too late for coffee. So ours is 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and every Friday. And yeah, you never know what sort of topics we're discussing. But our next few, we've got one that's solely on understanding the tourism potential for our sector. And we've got another one coming up, which is on the data that we can access for the sector, which is publicly available, which I don't think everyone realises.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that tourism piece is huge, isn't it? With COVID and domestic tourism going to be so important to us now with obviously the international borders shut. So okay,
Absolutely. Mm.
thanks for that. And in terms of COVID, and you know, I'm sick of mentioning it, but we are here. You know, what role can Outdoor New South Wales play in the COVID recovery, and what do you foresee some of the challenges being?
Look, the challenges are many, as we know. We look, you know, everywhere we look, we've got challenges, whether it's to understand, you know, job keepers and different ATO rules, right through to the day operations of our sector. But look, where we're placed right now, I feel that the association, or the peak body that I represent, has really got a good handle on where we need to point our strategy, which is through the strategic intention document. So the future is incredibly bright from that sense. We are connected with key people, and again, probably thanks to COVID in a way, but we've always been connected to the Office of Sport, and they're amazing supporters of our organisation, and they've been amazing in a recovery sense. So we've got a recovery task force, which I'm representing the sector on, and we're working with them quite closely. I call BC before COVID. We probably didn't have the right contacts in certain departments to really maximise quickly, but again, thanks to COVID, we've been able to open some of those doors. So we've got now strategic liaison and partnerships with other government policy departments or contacts that have certainly started to understand who we are and what we stand for. So we've got good stead to like foundations, if you like, to build on from there. Yeah. Our challenges, and you'll see that when the strategic intent document comes out, are really largely around our sector awareness. It's around having a seat at the table where other industry sectors are seated, getting out the benefits of really what we do stand for and how they've been equated in so much research to date. And even just now, we've actually published an open letter to try to get the understanding of, we need to be treated as an industry body, as a sector that provides so much for our communities. And yeah, it's having that seat at the table is the challenges ongoing. But I think the power of our sector, and it's seen through the Connect and Shares, is the ability to work together. And that for me was a real great, I had a sense of satisfaction of accepting this role about a month into the role, where I saw how well connected and respect that each player in the sector had for each other. That doesn't happen in a lot of industries. And I think that itself is a great strength that we can build on to really leverage and provide better benefit for the sector. As I say, needless to say that we're going to have some challenges coming out of COVID. We've got a JobKeeper ending in September. People have to reapply in September for the next. We've got businesses that haven't opened their doors yet. So it will be a long journey. And I think that's why having the Connect and Shares has been an opportunity where people can either look at some way of twisting their business to open or to just keep future focused on what they can do. But yeah, there's still a bit of a journey ahead, like everyone that's been affected by COVID right around the world. Yeah. But we've got to stay true to ourselves and stay true to our why, because we know that the health and well-being that we provide as a sector is difficult to replace in any other way.
Yeah, no, it's vital, particularly for people to get in the outdoors, with living these sedentary lifestyles. And I think you're right. It's a bumpy ride ahead. There'll be a long journey, as you said, but working together as you are with your members and partners, I think that's the best way forward. And I'd love to delve into what that magic is in terms of why the group that you've got do work so collaboratively. Maybe that's for another time, but
that's another hour.
we'll leave that one, because I think there's a lot to learn there. But in terms of you personally, Lori, and I talked about some of your experiences at the beginning of this recording, but where do you see yourself personally in the system, and how do you contribute and influence it?
I probably would delve into something that I stand strong for when it comes to the reason why I applied for this role, other than being very timely at a time where I was shifting. It was because it was a peak body and it was an association. And my time in associations and peak bodies, for me, has been probably some of the most memorable experiences that I've had in my career, purely because the opportunities are so many. You do have to remain focused because of capacity and limitations, but the power behind your efforts and the rewards that you get from those efforts is hard to replace. So when I saw this one come up, I thought it's a great industry. I knew a lot about it because of my tourism background. I still don't know how to tie a rope or sleep on the ground so eloquently, but I'll leave that for the professionals. But what I do see is the industry and what it stands for and where it could go. And I think that's where I stepped into the role in understanding how mechanics of associations can work, understand the governance required to protect the sector, and the strategy that I could bring to the sector to remain focused on their why. And that for me is the sort of the little spider web of how I allow the sector to do what they do best, to continue to provide for the communities. Meanwhile, I'm just connecting all the dots for them and being that foundation of which they can flourish from.
Yeah, what's coming up for me there is you're an enabler of others to kind of flourish and to maximize the opportunities that are kind of around you. So I think it's great to have your leadership at Outdoor New South Wales, and it's going to be exciting to see how things progress over the next period, COVID or not.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're running out of time, but the last one really just want to touch on is chronic conditions. So, as we know, they're on the rise. 1 in 2 Australians nearly has got a chronic condition. We don't seem to be winning the battle. It is a complex issue, but if we could nudge one part of the system to improve the well-being of Australians, in your opinion, what could that be?
Oh, goodness. What's the $1 million question? Holy crap. Look, that's a challenging one because there is no one thing.
I'll leave my best questions till the end.
You do. You certainly did. And you didn't give me a heads up on that one. So, look, it's the golden chalice, isn't it? Question, because there's no one thing that's going to solve any of those issues. And coming from I used to manage community services at councils, and I was heavily engaged in community services at SOPA. No one really understands the depth and the breadth of the issues that are socially out there, and chronic diseases as well. I think the challenge that we have before us, like our sector collaborates so well, we've got too many voices out there. We've got too many people trying to do the same thing with the same resources, with the same capacity. And we're heading off in all these different directions trying to find the same problem or fight the same problem. And I used to see it a lot in local government where people are very passionate about cause, which is great, but they go up and set a structure to fight that cause. And they're all gung-ho about, making a difference, instead of looking to the right of them and looking to the left of them and going, who else is in this space and how can I support? And I think that in itself is a problem. As I say, it's, as much as it's great that people are passionate about doing something, it is a big problem in Australia because there is a lack of funding, there's a lack of time, there's a lack of people that are willing to contribute to this. So what we've ended up doing is dissecting that into millions of pieces as opposed to collaborating and working together to fight the cause. So I think if there was a golden chalice in any of this, is to get focus, to get everyone that's in the space of looking at solutions to put their heads together. And I suppose we can use the original COVID lockdown as a great example, where the government got together, the states got together, and there was one voice that came about what we need to do as a country. As we came out, that got dissected and we started having our own agendas again, and then there was confusion. So it's no different, and that's truly how I feel on all different community and social issues.
Yeah, I love that collaboration. Just kept coming out there.
Yeah.
Getting clarity, putting the ego aside. So it's not not about any one particular organization or a gender. It's about the common good, isn't it? And yeah, I think that's a great answer, and it's not easy to make happen. But I think definitely some strong values in there. So that was awesome. So we've run out of time, Laurie. I'd love to keep chatting, but I'd firstly just like to thank you for your time. Want to acknowledge you again for all the work that you do, and wish you all
Thank
the
you,
best
Dave.
for the rest of the year. But is there anything that you wanted to just add?
No, other than thank you for doing things like this, because it's also adding to what we stand for, and then again collaborating and telling stories that people can benefit from. So yeah, thank you for having me on, and well done.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Laurie, and thanks for everybody for listening. Be well.